Hello NBA fans and welcome back to another video here on the NBA the week that was. I'll be continuing my series of predicting the starting fives for each of the 30 NBA teams here today by predicting the starting lineup for the Chicago Bulls. They made a lot of flashy offseason additions and that's definitely reflected in their starting lineup, so let's get right into it with their point guard, which is going to be Lonzo Ball, who they just acquired this offseason. So as I just said, Lonzo Ball will be the starting point guard for the Chicago Bulls this year. Ball has been one of my favorite NBA players for a while. I think he's been unfairly hated on. Yes, he was overrated coming into the league, and that was primarily due to LeVar Ball and his antics. But Lonzo Ball is still a great NBA player and is going to be a perfect fit for the Chicago Bulls team. It didn't really work out for him in New Orleans. It really didn't work out for him in LA, but I have promise for him here in Chicago. As the lead guard, he'll be responsible for playmaking, and that's his biggest strength in my opinion. He has some of the best passing vision in the NBA. He can find guys making cuts. He can see the play before the play. I really think Lonzo Ball is one of the smartest players in the NBA at such a young age. Also, his defense at the point guard position is absolutely locked down. He stands at around 6'5", 6'6", but he has the quickness and agility to stay with those smaller guards like, let's say, Trae Young or Chris Paul, making him a great defender and one of the best in the NBA at his position in guarding the front court. In guarding the backcourt, my bad. But he could also guard bigger guys given his bigger size and relative strength. Ultimately, his shooting has also improved since he went to New Orleans. They worked on his shooting form, and you could tell it's much better than it was when he came into the NBA. So ultimately, Lonzo Ball is continuing his development. I mean, he's still really young. He was only drafted in 2017, and it's only been his fifth year in the NBA. So I have a lot of promise for him. I think this is a great position for him, and his playmaking and defense makes him one of the better point guards in the NBA. Next, at the shooting guard position, we have Zach Lavine. Now, Zach Lavine, ever since he got traded from the Timberwolves to the Bulls, has been in an upward ascent. His game has gotten better and better and more refined as he's developed as a player and as a Chicago Bull, and he's really good now. He's one of the best scorers in the NBA. He's had some clutch moments for the Bulls. He consistently gives you around 25, 28 points. I mean, he's one of the best scorers, as I said. He can get it done from all three levels. He's extremely athletic, so he can get to the rim. He is also a great shooter, one of the better long-range shooters in the NBA. And he's also worked on his passing game. Now, it's not at the level of guys like Lonzo, and it's not as good as you want it to be for someone who's like the number one option of their team, but it's definitely above par. And with guys like Lonzo, his playmaking is only going to get better, similar to how the Devin Booker and Chris Paul situation worked out. Being with a better playmaker allowed Booker to focus on his own scoring. And I think the same effect is going to happen on Zach Lavine. But Zach Lavine is definitely going to need to prioritize playing off the ball if Lonzo's going to be facilitating. And he uses that athletic ability to really slash and get to the rim. And just because of his freakish athletic ability, he should be honestly a lob threat for Lonzo. But also, he'll slash, make those good cuts, work on his off-the-ball game, and he's going to be even better for the Chicago Bulls this year. And again, he's quite young. He's not the oldest guy. He still has good years left in his prime. I think good things are coming for Zach Lavine this year. Now at the small forward position, we have DeMar DeRozan. Now this was a big acquisition by the Bulls. They paid him a 3-year, $85 million contract. For a guy who's aging, that's a big commitment, but he's been great. I mean, his whole career, he's been one of the best scorers in the NBA. He's like one of those old time guys. I mean, his best ability is just slashing, getting to the basket, using his strength to finish around the rim. Elite mid-range game. It's one of the best to watch. Watching him in the mid-range is just so much fun. He's never really developed that three-point shot, but as a San Antonio Spur, he really worked on that playmaking, which was really good to see. And he's really become a guy who can average 6 and 7 assists a game, along with 21, 22 points, which is quite valuable. Now in the Chicago team, his slashing is going to be invaluable. Again, his mid-range game in the post, he can bully the smaller guys if there's any switches, because given all the mismatches that the Chicago offense can create with all of that talent, it's going to put some smaller guys and weaker defenders on DeRozan. So it's going to cause him to just dominate in the paint. Again, his three-point shot is quite lackluster. He's going to be pretty much ineffective just standing around on the perimeter. So it's going to be interesting how Billy Donovan works with three guys who love the ball in their hands in Lonzo, DeRozan, and Lavine. And let's see if his defense, I mean, he's never been a great defender, and he's been just average throughout his career, and as the age is catching up to him, his defensive ability is going to continue to decline. So I don't see him as a plus defender this year, but his just scoring is just so essential to any team that he's on, and his veteran experience will be good for guys like Lavine and Lonzo to really develop and refine their games so they can learn a lot from DeRozan. I think it was a bit of an overpay, but DeMar DeRozan's been one of the staple names in the NBA for a while, and I think he's gonna continue doing what he does best in Chicago, which is score the ball with a free will. At the power forward, we have Patrick Williams. He was the guy that the Bulls picked 4th last year in the draft, and I think he's going to be quite good for this Bulls team. I wasn't too high on the pick when they selected him last year, but I think he's gonna definitely overachieve and surpass my expectations. With his athleticism and length, I mean, he's such an athletic specimen. His ability to be a multi-positional defender is going to be so crucial to this Bulls team, which honestly lacks plus defenders besides Lonzo and Alex Caruso, who's the guy they got for their bench, who's going to be a high impact role player for them. But Patrick Williams, his ability on the defensive end will be invaluable. Hopefully he's going to continue getting better on that end. He has quite a raw offensive game, but he's going to be one of those like glue guys. If he can develop a 3-point shot, him being a 3-and-D guy for this team is going to be very good. I think that's it's not his ceiling. He can be better than that, I feel, like if he figures out his ball handling. But as with the way the roster is shaped up right now, Patrick Williams is a 3-and-D guy, especially their key defensive stopper alongside Lonzo Ball is going to be essential for this team. Unfortunately, he is out 4 to 6 weeks and is going to miss the start of the season. However, due to an ankle injury, I believe. However, I think they can slot in Derrick Jones Jr., who essentially does the same things as Patrick Williams, but at a much lower level. He's a much better athlete, one of the best athletes in the NBA. But he can't do much more than that. He's a decent defender, pretty much useless offensively besides dunking the ball. So Derrick Jones Jr. should be starting ahead of anyone else on this bench before Patrick Williams comes back. But once Patrick Williams is healthy, he most definitely deserves this power forward spot on the Chicago Bulls. Finally, at the center, we have Nikola Vucevic. So Vucevic was acquired in the trade deadline last year, and it never really worked. I mean, it didn't work out too well because they didn't have a whole offseason. Because of COVID, they never really got to fully utilize Vucevic how you would want to in an offense. He never really learned the way the Bulls played, and he didn't have that synergy you would want with Lavine. However, this year I think he's going to be much better after a full training camp and a full offseason with his Bulls teammates. Vucevic is one of the best big men in the NBA. I mean, offensively, he has it all. He's not even a poor man's Nikola Jokic. He's very, very close to Vucevic, close to Jokic. Jokic is better than him at pretty much everything, but like it's like the gap isn't as big as people think it is. Like some people say like Jokic here, Vucevic here. I think it's more like Vucevic here, Jokic here. It's quite close because Vucevic in the post, I mean, he's absolutely dominant. Put anyone smaller on him. Put a normal big guy on him. I've watched Clint Capella struggle against him as a Hawks defender when he was with the Magic and with the Bulls. Vucevic has the ability to just dominate in the post. He has a good hook shot. He can finish around the rim. He's a good free throw shooter. He's a great three-point shooter for his size. And he can really facilitate from that big man spot. Again, it shows that the Bulls have a lot of guys who succeed with the ball in their hands. And Vucevic isn't really used properly if you like run a 5-out and stick him in the corner. But if you can give him a spot in the paint, then he'll be dominant. But then you got guys like DeRozan, whose best ability is being closer to the basket rather than as a shooter. So it'll be interesting how Billy Donovan creates a balance within this offense. But Vucevic is a very talented player. He's been an all-star for a couple of years, which was definitely deserved. And I think Vucevic is going to be much better than he was for the end of last season for the Bulls in this upcoming campaign. And that wraps up my predicted starting five of Lonzo Ball, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Patrick Williams, and Nikola Vucevic. And with that, I would like to conclude this episode of the NBA the week that was. Let me know what you think about this Bulls starting lineup down in the comments below. I mean, it's quite a flashy name starting lineup with guys like LaVine, DeRozan, Lonzo Ball, and Vucevic. But let's see, as I said, will they find that balance on offense? Will they be able to succeed with non-shooters like DeRozan and, to an extent, Lonzo and Vucevic on the floor? It's going to be very interesting, but if Billy Donovan can work up a good offense, I think this team is very promising, but I don't see them going past the second round given the competition in the East this year. However, let me know what you think down in the comments, and I'll catch you on my next predicted starting lineup here on the NBA, the week that was. See ya.